Dave, what have you been watching?
I'm up to season 5 on Cheers.
Oh, you are motoring, aren't you?
Spoilers for like a 30-year-old comedy, but Sam's just proposed to Diane and she said no. Spoilers. I watched the Turtles movie.
Oh yes, I'm looking forward to watch that.
It's absolutely brilliant, yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
It's the same sort of animation as like the Spider-Man movies that we've had, like the Into Spider-Verse. It's really good. It's really funny. And what's currently just come on, it's now on Disney Plus from yesterday, the Justified City Primeval.
Yes.
Which is like technically series 7.
I'm going to mention that at some point in today's episode.
Yeah, because there's an actor that's in both.
Yeah, yes.
But it's just good to have Timothy Fantastic back and
he's just
Raylan Givens.
He's just, I love him.
Super
I just
cool,
love him. He's gorgeous man as well, isn't he? He's just like, oh yeah.
What's really good as well, I think it's only 6 or 7 parts. It's just a little mini series, apparently like based loosely on one of the books. Tarantino was meant to direct it.
I remember reading he
had to drop out because his wife got pregnant, but that was the original.
Bit rude,
sort of plan. Such bad timing. He's just as much to blame, to be fair.
But having said that, just about having kids and all that, remember we were saying about just amazing facts?
Yeah.
I was just reading somewhere that in order for us as human beings, like you or me, to be born, it goes through this thing. So for you to be born, you need 2 parents, 4 grandparents, and it keeps going on and on. So then it's like 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-grandparents. So it keeps going.
Yeah.
In order for you to be here for 12 generations, it takes over 4,000 individuals. So you and me, to go back 12 generations, have got 4,000 people's DNA in us.
Oh, it's crazy, isn't
and
it?
I was like, it's stuff you know if you actually think about it, but when it's actually pointed out to you, I was like, oh my God.
Because isn't it something like you've only got like a 1 in 2 billion chance of, or your chances of being born, obviously we won't go into all of it.
Yeah, the gory details.
The gory details, but it's like a 1 in 2 billion chance that it's you that makes it, isn't it?
So just to be born, to get out, so to speak.
Which leads into, I did go see the Jurassic Park 30th anniversary.
Oh, did you go?
And life finds a way.
Hello and welcome to Watch It If You Can. My name is Liam.
My name's Dave.
This is a podcast about box sets we've created of our favourite films and TV shows. Some you've seen, some you haven't, and some you may never ever want to watch. However, we can say, if you've never seen Jojo Rabbit, fuck off Hitler. All we want to do is chat on about these movies and TV shows we love so dearly, and maybe, just maybe, you should watch it if you can. Dave.
Liam.
How are you?
I'm alright, we're standing.
I'm just about to say it's
I don't
weird.
know what to do with my hands.
No, I don't know what to do.
You put yours behind your back, so we look like a pair of wallies.
You too.
I'm going to move mine to the front.
So just for listeners, I have, the whole time we've been doing the podcast, we've been sat at my desk in my little studio, stroke back room office. But the whole time I've got one of them standing desks, not a fancy electric one, it's a wheel one.
I've got the winder here.
You've got the winder. So we've decided to do it on the hottest day of the year. Let's stand.
We've got shorts and a t-shirt
on the hottest day of the year,
but let's see how it goes.
Right, should we get on with it?
Absolutely.
So Dave, this week your theme is?
It's 80s blockbuster theme.
And your choice is?
It's Predator.
Oh, let's get to the chopper.
So Predator is a 1987 science action film directed by John McTiernan, and it's based around an elite paramilitary rescue team who are on a mission to save hostages in guerrilla-held territory in Guatemala's Central American rainforest. And they are hunted by an alien with advanced technology. And the film apparently came about because of a joke after Rocky 4. So the joke around Hollywood was that Sly would have to fight an alien next because basically there's no one left to beat. And these two screenwriters, Jim and John Thompson, they took sort of inspiration from that joke and wrote the script for this.
Oh, I love it. Why is it you chose Predator for your 80s blockbuster?
So you can't have 80s blockbuster week and not have an Arnie film. That was my rationale behind
Agreed.
it. We're going to talk more about Arnie's films as we go along, but I think this is probably my most watched Arnie film. I think personally it's his most rewatchable film as well. It's another short film that I've picked. It's under 90 minutes again. It's just over 90 minutes.
You like a 1 minute 27 film,
yeah, this box set seems to be just under 2 hours. I don't think there's any dull moments. I think it's a full-on action movie, pretty much from the word go. So it is quite lean. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I would agree.
It's lean,
with that,
isn't it? I think all the main cast are perfect. The design of the Predator, just unbelievable, made by Stan Winston, who, again, we'll talk about later. It's just easily one of my favourite 80s movies. I'm glad they didn't go with the original idea, which was meant to be a band of alien hunters made of different species. And then they just went with the most dangerous species, which is man. Man. So the reason I'm laughing is there's a clip from Futurama where it's meant to be like a Twilight Zone thing where a guy's putting all the worst ingredients into all these jars to make the worst possible species, and when the door opens, they go, it's man. Anyway, but yeah, I know it's hot as well currently, like in this room and just in the UK in general, but I just feel hot watching the film as well.
It's the setting and the presence of the jungle, isn't it?
I sort of forgot about, maybe it was because of being a bit more critical because we were watching it for the podcast, but what I didn't get onto probably in the various times I watched it before is how many close-up angles there is.
Yes.
And how many scenes where it's just through the leaves and stuff.
It's very hot and sweaty, and it
makes you feel like you're there. So I just love it.
A couple of questions I've got for you on... I'm going to throw a couple of other 80s blockbusters out for you. And I'm intrigued to see why these ones didn't make your pick for this week. And the first one, I'll go through all four. Okay, the four I'm going to throw at you is Terminator, the original.
70s. That's why.
No,
was it 79?
84.
Oh, was it 84?
Yeah, 84.
Really?
It's the original Terminator one.
I thought it was older.
RoboCop, Top Gun, and Die Hard. So I'm just curious, because I know how much you love Die Hard. I was curious whether any of them four didn't make it.
So Terminator, I totally forgot. I was thinking it was 70s. I do love the Terminator, and I probably would have swayed towards it. But I just think I watch Predator more and more. I don't know why, because I do love the Predator Terminator, and I've probably seen that. But just, I think this is full on Arnie acting. Yeah. And Arnie just being Arnie, which, you know, obviously in the Terminator, very few lines. I think he says 8 words or something silly in the whole thing. This is prime Arnie. RoboCop, I do love. It's probably not one of my favourite 80s. Okay. Do love it. What was the other one? Top Gun Maverick I prefer now. Oh. So Top Gun's dropped down in the overall sort of Tom Cruise list as well. Oh, interesting. Yeah, and I was never a huge Top Gun fan, I'll be honest. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't one of my rewatchable ones. And the Die Hard one is simple. When we do Christmas movie, I'm going to pick Die Hard. So I couldn't pick it for this. I knew you were going to squeeze in Die Hard. So that was my reasons. And then there's too many. There is too many. I've got to say, I haven't seen Predator since I was possibly 12 or 13. Wow. The last time I watched it. So I really enjoyed watching it again. It was, and I'm going to touch on a couple of little things on the impact later. There's more in this film than meets the eye. Definitely, so it really stands up quite well. And I was also thinking the premise of it is it could work as a real low budget horror film, because if you just replace the jungle for the woods, all the team, the army guys as a bunch of teenagers, and the Predator for like a madman with an axe, it's a low budget horror film. Oh yeah, it's Jaws. Yes, of course, yeah. So I think, I was shocked
how much is in this film, because like I said, I only remember watching it as a teenager, and it's like, I remember the scene where they were just blasting at the trees when they thought they saw it. It's like, oh yes. And some of the throwaway dialogue, like, I ain't got time to bleed and stuff like that, but there's so much more into this film, and Schwarzenegger's performance is a little bit low-key compared to what you think of him as well. Yeah,
because he's the leader in this, isn't he?
Yeah.
So he isn't totally over the top, is he? I just think I've seen it probably, I don't know, if you've only seen it once since 12-13, I've probably seen it at least 20 times in between the last time, because it's just one of them, if it's on, you've got to watch it.
I'm sure you live in a different universe where you have more hours of the day, because I
stay up after 9 o'clock. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I need to go. I need to sleep.
I have an extra 5 hours in the day than you.
All right then. So, who's in Predator and what will we know them from?
So Arnie is Dutch. Everyone knows Arnie. I've had the chance to see the man himself.
You have, yeah.
2016 at a black tie event in Birmingham. He's everything you want him to be.
Really?
When he walks out, yeah. It's just, he's the man, isn't he? But movie-wise, obviously the Terminator franchise, True Lies, Twins, Commando, Red Heat and The Running Man. There's just too many. But my recommendation actually is the Arnie documentary on Netflix.
Interesting.
The 3-part documentary is absolutely brilliant, and it's warts and all, because he's clearly a part of it. It's not a documentary made about him, it's a documentary he's clearly involved in making, and he's interviewed at every part, but it does go into having a child with the maid, and it does go into the politics. It goes all through his life, and he didn't have a great upbringing either.
No, he had quite
in terms of things that happened to him and stuff. I think he lost his brother quite early on. But that's my recommendation, that actually watch the documentary, because I think you'll just appreciate Arnie as a person more.
See, the two I picked out from his list, surprisingly, are Twins and True Lies. I do love him when he does that little bit of comedic role.
Yeah.
I think True Lies is such an underrated film.
It's one of James Cameron's best films, isn't it?
Absolutely brilliant. I love True Lies. So who else is in it then?
We got Carl Weathers, who plays Dylan, who everyone knows as Apollo from the Rocky movies. He's in a film called Action Jackson from 1988, which remember we both used to have the video for. He's in Happy Gilmore.
Yes.
In 96. And he's currently in The Mandalorian as well.
He is. And he also pops up as himself in Arrested Development.
Oh, he does?
Yes.
Yeah, I've totally
but he reprises Chubbs from Happy Gilmore in Little Nicky as well. Although it's not as a good film.
I've never seen Little Nicky.
It's not as good. Do you know what? Adam Sandler's having a bit of a renaissance at the moment, isn't he? But Happy Gilmore is definitely
it's a classic,
the one to watch, yeah.
We've got Bill Duke, who was actually 80 this year. So he plays Mac. What I noticed, and I've never seen it, but we have spoke about Out of Sight, he's in the Karen Cisco series.
Got that on my list, yeah.
Yeah, I've never ever seen that. He was in Payback in 1999 with Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon. No Man's Land with Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen was in Stand By Me. Just trying to think of links to previous podcasts.
The Karen Cisco link. Did you know the actress who played Karen Cisco in the Karen Cisco series reprises the role of Karen, the Marshal, in an episode of Justified? So she's in the same
is that
universe.
The same one?
Yes.
It's Georgia Giusino in it.
I think so. They didn't have, the network didn't have the rights to use the name Karen Cisco, so she's got a different surname. But the story was she's actually now older and been married since. But it's the same actress who reprises the role as Karen the Marshal.
I've seen that Justified episode and never even.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I was literally just reading. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
I like that. So Jesse Ventura plays Blaine, who when we were sort of kids was a WWF wrestler, and apparently he is an ex-Navy SEAL himself.
I saw that. I didn't know that, yeah.
I didn't know that. He starred in The Running Man with Arnie as well, and he also was a former governor of Minnesota.
He was. The only thing I picked out that I've seen of him, because obviously I know him as a wrestler, but funny enough, he was in Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger as well, but we tend to forget about that film.
Who was he? Was he Bane?
I don't know. No, he was in it. I can't remember. I just thought he was in it. I
can't remember being in it now.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was Bane, maybe. But say that.
No, don't think he was.
No. So Shane Black is Hawkins, who we've talked about loads on the podcast, haven't we? The two I love is Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is probably my favourite.
As a writer and director, though, isn't it?
As a writer and director. He did Iron Man 3 as well.
Yeah.
But apparently he was sneakily cast by Joel Silver. Did you read this?
No.
So what happened was Joel Silver asked them to do a rewrite. Shane Black said he wasn't interested. So Joel Silver cast him in the movie thinking, well, it'll convince him maybe to do a bit of a rewrite. And he didn't. And if you notice, he's the first person killed off in the film.
Yeah, he is,
Yeah. So they're saying that's a coincidence, but that, to me, maybe says Joel Silver wasn't too happy that he wouldn't write on the film.
But then, if he would rewrite it, he'd possibly keep himself in longer.
Yeah, but he didn't. He refused to. He didn't do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Was there a reason? Because...
No, I don't know what the reason was. It just they approached him and he said no. So we thought, well, if we put him in the film, he might do a little cheeky rewrite while he's there, and he still said no.
It was the same year, this came out the same year as Lethal Weapon, just on the verge as he was becoming the man.
And Joel Silver would have been involved, so read all those scripts and stuff as well, but he said no.
Interesting.
And then strangely he killed off.
Killed off. Who else have we got?
We've got Sonny Landham, who's Billy. He was in Lock Up with Stallone in 89, also in Action Jackson with Carl Weathers. But most famous, probably before Predator, he was Billy Bear in 48 Hours.
I got that one, yeah.
Yeah, with Eddie Murphy. Did you read about the fact that he had to have a bodyguard?
No.
So he had to have a bodyguard for insurance purposes. But it wasn't to protect him. It was to protect everyone else from him.
Was he a bit mad, like?
He's a little bit mad,
yeah.
So he had to have a bodyguard on set to watch him.
That's it, imagine that. Imagine explaining that to people. The bodyguards for you, not for me. Yeah. Be like, okay.
Mad.
I had, the only thing, because he'd done a lot of TV series from the 70s, 80s, like big ones, but something I haven't heard about for years, The Fall Guy. Even remember The Fall Guy?
They're just doing a movie, aren't they?
Oh, that was one of my nan's favourite programmes.
I still love The Fall Guy,
yeah, I used to love watching that.
I remember the theme tune and
yes,
the van.
yeah.
But Ryan Gosling's doing
That's
Fall
right,
Guy.
yes, yeah. All right then, Dave, who's next?
We've got Richard Chavez, he's Poncho. The only thing I've seen on the sort of list on IMDb that I probably would have definitely seen him in is LA Takedown.
I've got that on my list.
Which is like the version that
yeah.
once Michael Mann got a bit more money, he made Heat. It's basically the same film.
It's a TV movie of Heat, isn't it? Yeah,
he was in that. This is where our pronunciations always let us down. El Padilla Carrillo.
I think that's pretty good.
I think that's good. She's Anna. She's the mum in the Blue Beetle movie.
Oh, that's
just come out.
See, a couple of things I've noticed. She had a brief appearance in a series I watched for years, but I really enjoyed the first 3 or 4 series. Nashville, who with Connie Britton and Hayden Panettiere, I think you pronounced it in here.
I think that's on Netflix at the moment.
Yeah, I love that. First couple of series are really good. It's just because I quite love. I've got a bit of a thing for country music, but it's quite real country music, and you see all the venues. Nashville's meant to be a beautiful place, but it's a really good series. I really enjoyed that for a couple of years.
So the 2 honourable mentions then are Peter Cullen, who we know is the voice of Optimus Prime. He's the voice of the Predator in this.
He does it because he quite often he sort of regurgitates back what they're saying, doesn't he? Yeah,
he's got a great voice, hasn't he?
That's amazing.
And then a special mention to Jean-Claude Van Damme, who was the original Predator. So there's different stories now about why he didn't stay on. So he was only 5'9", and he gets replaced with 7'2" Kevin Peter Hall, who, I don't know if you noticed, he's the helicopter pilot.
That's right, I did read that, yeah.
But you can actually see videos on YouTube of Van Damme in the original suit. It looks absolutely ridiculous, doesn't it? But yeah, there's a story that Joel Silver fired him because he broke the mask, which apparently cost like $20,000. So he sacked him. One is that he kept passing out because it was just too hot.
I heard it was ridiculously hot, and we're sort of getting the vibe right now.
And another is that he just refused to stop doing kickboxing.
That I could believe, actually.
He's just being annoying.
Yeah.
But
is anyone going to tell him to stop kickboxing? I wouldn't. Do you reckon he sent the kid who's a runner on the production? You go and tell him to stop kickboxing. Go on, the little young kid, the Kenny.
But don't stand too close.
He would have sent the Kenny, wouldn't he? Go and tell him.
But the other one was about the height difference, saying obviously with Arnie and the rest of the cast, they're all big guys. But I don't think that's true, because if you look at the suit, even in the suit, it's got a massive head on.
Yeah.
So in the suit, he would have been taller than them.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they did replace him with a 7'2", Kevin Peter Hall, because it worked out in the end.
It does really.
But you can watch clips of Van Damme if you want, running around the jungle in a crazy lizard suit.
It's strange because when I started watching it, I was like, who actually directed Predator? I normally know who directed, and it was like, it's John McTiernan. And you forget he did Die Hard. Like, I'm gonna run his list of films. This is what he made. So this is his run of films: Predator, Die Hard, Hunt for Red October with Sam Neill, who's also in Hunt for World People, Medicine Man, Last Action Hero, Die Hard with Vengeance, and the Thomas Crown Affair. That's a hell of a run of films. Not all massive big hits, because we mentioned before about Last Action Hero. Medicine Man was a massive one. But still, like, people talk about Richard Donner and other directors, and I'm like...
It's huge, but is he out of prison?
I don't know.
Because he went to prison, didn't he? Was it a tax thing?
Because he did stop making films around 2012. So
he went to prison. Yeah,
really?
I can't remember the details now. We might have to Google it during a break or something.
We will, yeah.
He did. He's been in prison. Yeah, I'm sure it's a tax thing, but that was the gap. But yeah, certainly that list is unbelievable. And Sean Connery in The Untouchables, another link to some of the podcasts as well.
Yeah. All right then, Dave. So that's who's in it and what else they've been in, what our listener may know them from. Who's your favourite character from The Predator?
I've gone with Arnie. I've gone with
Fair enough. To be honest with you, I probably would have gone with Arnie as well.
Yeah, I think you knew I was going to go with
all
Arnie,
day
so
long,
you picked someone else. He's the main man. It is, as I said before, it's Arnie literally at the height of his kind of blockbuster power, height of his fame. He's absolutely ripped as well, isn't he?
He is.
I know he's not in his bodybuilding sort of condition, but because his arms are just unbelievably massive.
He's in shape.
He's in action movie shape, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's, as action heroes goes, I think Dutch is just right up there, the best characters. He's got the customary Arnie puns. He can take a beating just as much as he can give a beating out as well, because you generally don't see the heroes get a arse whoop and and he does in this. And if you noticed, Hawkins is seen reading Sergeant Mock comics, and apparently they were all round the set because Arnie was meant to do a movie version of Sergeant Mock, but it all sort of fell through. But there was comics everywhere. But I've gone with Arnie because, as you said, his performance is brilliant. He's clearly the leader of the team. He's clearly is he the cleverest one? I don't know, because they're all about the same, aren't they? They've all got that background and stuff.
If I wasn't going to pick Arnie, I picked Billy, because I love a character like who's can read the jungle and feel the vibes, and I thought it was a good character. I didn't like his death. I thought it was a bit
the scream is terrifying.
Oh yeah.
I think to be honest, I know I'm skipping ahead, but when we talk about the moments, the one with Billy when he strips off, you do think you're going to see that fight, don't you? It builds up to that fight, and you see Arnie sort of pulling Anna away, but then to just hear the scream, it's horrendous. But he is great in it. As much as love the apparently he was just as scary offset as he was on.
Well, he had his bodyguard, didn't he?
I wouldn't like to be that bodyguard, to be honest.
So moving on to your favourite scene, what have you got?
Some honourable mentions then.
We love an honourable.
Dylan getting his arm blown off.
Yes.
I think it's just a shocking scene, and then you see the arm fall into the floor and it's still pulling the trigger.
It's still firing.
Which when we were young teenagers must have been like the best thing we've ever seen. I mentioned then Billy standing on the bridge and cutting himself and making a stand. It's more the scream, to be honest. It's not so much the build-up's amazing, but when they're in the jungle and you hear that noise, you're like, because you just think, what has happened to him? And then later on you see the Predator ripping his spine out and stuff. Blaine, you said it before, I ain't got time to bleed, and his old painless, it's called, the gun, that shootout in the jungle. Where what I love about that scene is, though, that is a scene where you know they're all mates because nobody asks a question. Mac just starts shooting into the jungle and they go, we're doing it as well. There's no hold on a minute, Mac, what's happening, what should we do? It's do it. It's
none of this, let's not save bullets or whatever. It's just,
we're all in sync, aren't they? They're all like, if he's doing it, I'm doing it.
It goes on for some time as well, doesn't it? It's like
they just chop up half the jungle. But I love that scene. Obviously you can't not mention get to the chopper at the end, but my favourite scene of all, it's the reveal of the Predator's actual face
for the first time.
it's some of Stan Winston's best makeup effects, and he was Oscar nominated. That whole scene of the Predator just leaving Arnie stood against the tree, undoing the mask and the reveal, because at that point, I think it wasn't on the posters, it wasn't in the trailer, it would have been the first time anyone would have seen that face, and dead unexpected. And then you obviously get the line from Arnie saying, you're one ugly motherfucker, which I think is really rude. Because I bet on his home planet, he's a sexy man.
He could have been a looker.
He's probably a really looker.
He was probably hand-picked because he was the best-looking species to go off to another world.
I found it quite rude when I watched it again as an adult.
We would never get picked for extra, terrestrial exploration. We'd be just oh.
He was there, Arnie.
Probably was, yeah.
What about you?
I went for the first time you actually see the Predator, not when he reveals, taking the mask off. No, when he goes to the top of the train, he's just been injured and he sort of takes his camouflage off and you see him. That still got me. Because you didn't see much of him, but because he revealed, because he switched his camouflage off and you just saw him. Didn't see the mask or the much detail. But that still got me watching it all this time. It was like, oh.
It's because it's practical.
Yeah,
I think
it's exciting as well.
That movie wouldn't have been the same now with the CGI face. No. I mean, I know that we're going to talk about the other movies. I know some of the movies they have gone practical, but a CGI version of that would never have been the same.
Yeah,
there's a lot for practical, isn't there?
I picked out just about any time Arnie says the word chopper. It just brings joy to people. The chopper, because obviously it's Mac Bain in Simpsons. Quotes it quite a lot, doesn't he? And my favourite moment is it's the A-Team montage where they make all the man-made traps. I just love it. It's just...
do you know what? I never even thought about the A-Team when I was watching that.
It was pure A-Team, the way they all just got stuck in, and he got the girl Anna involved as well. He's he's after us all, we need every hand. And it's just yes!
That's
you can literally have because they're all just cutting trees and ropes and stuff. Yes, it's so A-Team. It really is. That bit made me smile last night when I watched it. Alright then, moving on to the music.
So the soundtrack is by Alan Silvestri, who did Back to the Future, Flight of the Navigator, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Young Guns 2,
yes,
Forrest Gump and Castaway. So he's done quite a few Robert Zemeckis films. I picked out two. It's just the main theme. The main theme is brilliant. I think it captures the whole... It
is. It's intense.
It just captures the whole tone of the movie. It's strange how it feels military, but then you've got those old alien sort of sounds in there, or whatever those noises are, gives an alien vibe anyway. It's sort of got a bit of the Back to the Future. If you listen to the whole version, it's quite there's little uplifting bits. I think it's got a Jaws element.
Yeah, because
it's chased.
Impending doom type of vibe to it,
it's just brilliant. And then you've got Little Richard's Long Tall Sally from 1957, which they blast out of the helicopter.
On the ghetto blaster?
Yeah.
On the tape deck. No way can a tape player like that play that loud. That's all I'm saying.
Over the
you
helicopter.
Wouldn't hear that over a chopper. I had the tape recorder version the same like that. And it was I think my iPhone is louder now.
That's probably true.
The only thing I'm going to mention about Alan Silvestri, it is Alan
Silvestri.
Silvestri is anyone who comes up with the Avengers theme tune is all right in my book.
Oh, he did, didn't he? Yeah, I didn't note that down. I've gone with the class, the old sort of
probably
80s, 90s
my
ones.
favourite piece of music in film history. Just I
love it when you see orchestras playing it, because I sent you this, didn't I? The link to an orchestra playing the main theme, and it's just it's weird to watch an Arnie action movie theme being played by an orchestra, but it works so well.
It does work. Okay then, to the question which I say every week, but still one of my favourite questions. What would you change if you remade this film?
So I'd have been tempted not to have the spaceship scene at the start.
Doesn't bring anything to it at all.
Just leave a bit of mystery.
Yeah.
Because you don't really need to know how the Predator got there.
He's quite obvious he's an alien.
Well, I think if you've gone in cold, so we've spoken about this multiple times, and in our day there was no YouTube, no internet. And if you didn't see a trailer of something, you'd literally would have seen a poster. If you've gone in cold and you don't know what's following them for that whole section of the movie, I just think the longer you don't know, the better.
See, the reveal to finally realise he's an alien would have been more powerful.
Because just to a point, until he starts using weapons, you don't know if this is just some sort of weird animal, or is this something like a military weapon,
or is it implying it's some like CIA sort of super soldier or something like that?
You don't know, but I think having the spaceship right at the beginning, you go, oh right, okay, so it's an alien. I just don't know what it looks like. I probably would have took that out, and plus I think the effects look a little bit dated in that bit now. The spaceship doesn't look doesn't look as good. I also think the ending's a little bit cheesy now. I watch it back when Arnie stand there and kind of that military music comes on, and then he's sort of sat in the helicopter and the sad music's on. I might have cut that. I might have ended it a bit sooner. But they're me two. What did you have?
I had one point in the fact that, although it's not, the bit I like is, when you see him in the camouflage mode, and it's that must be some sort of CGI computer effect. I think it still stands up today. It's because it's so, and when he sees everyone through his heat lamp
it's
or
like
whatever,
a thermal.
Yeah, it really works, because he's obviously someone from outer space. They're going to have different way of running things. I mean, that all works. The only thing for me, and you always say this about things that you would change film, something that just slightly took me out of it, the cumbersome movement of the Predator on a few occasions. He was meant to be able to jump from tree to tree and jump over tripwires, but a few scenes you see him, the movement's a bit cumbersome and a bit clunky, and it's the guy in the suit, do you know what I mean?
Right, okay.
And it just
not as stealth.
As
it just looked the effects.
It looked more like the guy who played Chewie in Star Wars.
He's 7'4" guy. He's not going to be that limber, is he?
It just seemed a bit cumbersome, the actual movements. I'm like, this guy's meant to jump from the treetops like a monkey or something.
Is that because he's injured at that point, though, maybe?
I don't know.
Possibly.
I don't know.
But I know where you're coming from. Anything that sort of goes, well, how's he done this 5 minutes ago to now he's a little bit slower? But I'm going to veto that and say it's his injury.
Okay.
He's injured.
It's your choice of film, Dave, so you can veto it. Fair enough. Right then, the question of impact. What impact did this film have on you in general?
So Predator opened at number 1 with a $12 million weekend, and it was only second to Beverly Hills Cop that year.
Oh, that's it.
It says a lot, doesn't it?
That's a good year of films.
I was surprised to read, though, it did have mixed reviews at the time, even though it's now like a bit of a...
Yeah.
It's a classic, isn't it? I think the poster's iconic.
Yes.
That poster of Arnie standing there with it is like thermal sort of colours behind. I probably had that poster at the time. It was only made for 18 million, and it's still the second highest grossing film in the franchise after Alien v Predator, because this all led to basically novels, comic books, video games, toys. It's got 3 sequels and a prequel. So we got Predator 2 in 1990 with Lethal Weapon star Donald Glover.
Donald Glover, yeah.
Danny Glover? Donald Glover. I'm getting me Danny's mixed up.
Who's from Community? Yeah,
we've got Community. We've got 2 Glovers, haven't we? We've got Lethal Weapon, we've got Community linking to the podcast. We had Predators in 2010, The Predator from 2018, which was the Shane Black one, which was pretty awful. Prey, which came out in 2022, went straight to streaming because it was all kind of during COVID. You've got a crossover then with the Alien franchise, which produced the Alien v Predator films. So we had Alien v Predator in 2004 and Alien v Predator Requiem in 2007. But it's not one of Arnie's top 10 box office movies.
Interesting.
No, his top one is Terminator 2 with 515 million, but it's not even in the top 10.
Okay.
But in terms of impact, it has stood the test of time. I think people find it all the time, and obviously now you've got all those franchise.
It's a hell of a franchise because it's gone different ways as well, hasn't it? It's like the Alien v Predator was such a. I think did that come from a comic?
I think it was a comic first, yeah. Yeah,
it was such a novel twist on crossover to
Predator 2. I think still stands up. That's got Gary Busey, who's just always a madman. The one thing that was annoying with Predators, the 2010, do you ever remember the trailer? So the trailer's got a scene with, I can't remember the actor's name now, but he's basically the lead. He's the guy who was in like Peaky Blinders. He's been in a few other bits. And in the trailer, he's in the jungle, and next minute all the red dots just start coming on him. And it's so cool. but it's not even in the film.
Not in the film.
It's not in the film.
Oh, I hate it when you do stuff like that.
So annoying.
See, but having said that, Marvel do it quite well because I feel like
they hold stuff back.
Yeah,
don't they?
yeah. I think like they sort of mislead people a little bit with the trailer.
It felt like it was maybe filmed just for the trailer.
Speaking of which, hasn't some fan brought a court case against the producers of Yesterday? No,
over the Anna de Armas thing.
Yeah, because she was in the trailer, but they cut her part out in the film. I find that fascinating.
So what? Well, there's more to that because she's in the trailer, and obviously they decided not to put it in. So what happened was they're the two guys that was suing. I think it is two, isn't it? Big, huge Anna de Armas fans went to see it. She obviously didn't turn up. They noticed when it was released on Google, she's listed in the cast.
Right.
So they paid to watch it again, thinking, oh, it's going to include the scene with her, and it doesn't.
Okay.
So Google's a little bit sneaky, really, listing her. So they sued, basically, because they were like, we paid to watch this film twice, and she's not in it. So I get where the ranks comes from. It's extreme, yeah.
Someone.
Adrian Brody, that's who's in it.
Adrian Brody, of course.
That's who's in it.
The only thing I just wanted to just come back to the impact question and just indulge me to pull a thread here, Dave, because it was something I sort of touched on when we did the Lethal Weapon episode the other day about one of the key points of especially an 80s blockbuster is the theme of hyper masculinity.
Yeah.
And American patriotism. So they're like two key themes from 80s films. Now, on the surface, and this goes back to what I said before, Predator hits them perfectly. You think, oh, it's such an 80s film. It's got, think about the hyper masculinity. Think about the arm wrestling theme between Duke and Dylan. When he meets, it's like, it's very similar.
It's testosterone, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very similar to the Top Gun scene where they're playing beach volleyball and stuff like that. It's all there. But then, where I'm going with this, and this is what I was saying before, is the film is actually more here than what I initially thought of and what other people thought of, because it actually sort of spins that idea of masculinity just a little bit. Because if you just bear with me, if you think about the scene where near the end where the Predator then goes man with Duke,
no weapons,
he sort of that's his pride. He says, I'm going to take you on my own, don't need me weapons. That's a masculine trait, that's pride, isn't it? But in the end that led to his downfall. So it's like, is the idea of masculinity slightly flawed? Because, do you get what I'm saying? It was like sort of, and that's what I'm thinking, the film sort of chips away at what we perceive a little bit. And there's another bit as well, like straight after, where the Predator, and then bear in mind, at that moment where Duke could kill him with the rock, he stops and shows compassion, which is slightly, when I watched it again the other night, it's like, oh, that took me slightly, I wasn't expecting that. The bit where then the Predator takes himself out rather than be killed is a very toxic masculinity trait, as in that's scorched earth. It's like, if you can't have me, no one else can. That type, do you know what I mean? And I was like trying to think, this is quite interesting, because you'd think it's a real... I don't know, I just thought there's more there. Do you know what I mean?
It comes down to two hunters, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's not so much that he's just an alien who's there to collect trophies, which he is. Yeah. But as you said, there's those scenes where there's the opportunity to just shoot Arnie, or just slash his, cut his head off or whatever, where he pins him down with the what do you call, like the spikes on his thing. He could have just killed him there and then, but he doesn't. He throws him up against the wall and goes, I've tried to beat you with every weapon I've got available, and now let's just go. Like, it's fists, isn't it? It's punchy time, isn't it?
I just found it fascinating because, like I said, it's always like upheld as a classic 80s film with this hyper-masculinity, with American patriotism. And bear in mind as well, actually Dylan is the CIA. He's the sort of bad guy in this as well, isn't he?
He is. He leads them in there, doesn't he?
Duke is the one who basically says they're not assassins. They only go in to rescue people, as well, which is that slightly different take on it. I was like, I don't know, it made me, while I was watching it last night, it made me think, this is not quite what I remember the film being. There's a little bit more.
And I think you're right with Arnie. When the Predator's lying there, Arnie knows he could just kill him with the rock. But even Arnie thinks that's not in fitting with what's just happened. Obviously, if he knew he was going to set a bomb off, I'm sure he would have. But at the time, he's just thinking, well, I think he's probably thinking, he could have killed me.
Definitely.
No problem. He give me a chance to let's fight. I've won. I'm going to walk away. It's a bit like a boxing match, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't punch them when they're down, do you?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what happened.
I just thought it was that it was fascinating. I was all about that scene. What got me started down this road, where the Predator then pulls weapons down for, I'm going to take you on man oh man. And I was like, that's really interesting, because that did lead to his downfall. So therefore, is the film saying that in essence, masculinity is flawed? Which then blows the whole thing about the film up.
Of it just being an action movie.
Yeah, and I'm like, and then it got me thinking, is this where, did this start planting the seed a little bit with Shane Black? Because Last Action Hero is specifically a film where he deconstructs classic action movies. It just made me think, because he was. It
probably, like, as much as we know we didn't write on it, it probably it definitely influenced him, because he was around there. So I'm just looking up McTiernan. So
go on.
I was totally wrong, by the way. On April 3rd, 2006, McTiernan was charged in federal court with making a false statement to an FBI investigator because he hired a private investigator to illegally wiretap the producer of his film Rollerball in August 2000. They had a disagreement about what type of film it should be, so he hired a private investigator.
Bit hardcore.
And made false statements. And so he was arraigned and pleaded guilty in August 2006. I won't read the whole thing, but basically, it was.
So he didn't go to prison then?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
he really went to prison for that?
Immediately proceeded, sentenced him to 4 months imprisonment and £100,000 in fines.
That's a bit hardcore.
He was ordered to surrender in 2008, but was allowed to remain out of prison pending appeal. There's more. There's a whole story about.
So he sort of. Oh, interesting.
I knew he'd been in trouble, and I knew things had gone on. It's even gone to the Supreme Court, apparently, the whole thing.
Right then, Dave. It's that time in Boxset 3 for the quickfire round. Okay, Dave, I'm going to ask you 6 questions today. I need your first answer as quickly as possible. That's why it's called the quickfire round.
In dim lights.
Not after last week. Okay, are you ready? In a fight, who would win, Arnie's T800 or the Predator?
Arnie.
You must delete one film from history, The Predator or Die Hard.
Predator.
Who's the baddest alien of all time?
E.T.
Okay, an 80s sci-fi film or an 80s action film?
Action, I think. There's too many to choose from.
So you're choosing that over Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah, there's
it's your quick fire round. I've told your answer. Okay, in honour of Jesse Ventura, your favourite WWF wrestler, none of this WWE crap. Favourite WWF wrestler?
Bret Hitman Hart.
Last question. Is Arnold a good actor?
Absolutely. So we've established then I'd not choose Predator and not choose the genre Predator's classed in as well on my weekly chase.
Excellent episode already.
Way too many action movies to choose from, because that means you don't get Lethal Weapon. So.
Moving on, Dave, where can the listener watch The Predator?
So if you've got a Disney subscription, it's on there along with Prey, which is definitely worth watching. You can pay for it as well on YouTube, Google Play and Amazon.
Excellent, great. So I love it when it's on Disney Plus and Netflix and Amazon, except when it's on that freebie, but we'll come back to that, I'm sure, at no point. Okay, if you like The Predator, what else will you like? I'm going to kick this off as always. The themes I've gone with this week are reboots. I've picked a couple of rebooted films and some rebooted TV series, okay, because I think Predator's been rebooted and
It's 3 times now,
yeah. So here we go. So my rebooted films are Bumblebee. I think it's such an underrated film.
We went to see that, didn't we? We enjoyed it, didn't we?
I just think it doesn't get the credit it deserves, that one. And I feel like they've messed it up again with the next one. But hey-ho. The 2011 The Muppets film with Jason Segel,
so
I think is a cracking reboot of The Muppets. X-Men First Class.
Love that.
I think is a cracking reboot of the
it's the cast that make that. Such a good cast, isn't it?
Like McAvoy and Fassbender. Oh my God. Who met on Band of Brothers. That's where they became friends.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. J.J. Abrams, 2009, Star Trek. Anything with Chris Pine, I'm in.
Yeah, any of the Chris's.
Yeah, we love a Chris on here. Top Gun Maverick.
Definitely.
Which I think you know what you mentioned before, yeah.
It was the best movie that year.
Definitely. Casino Royale. I think it really just put life back into
it's a proper reboot, that, isn't it? That is a reboot.
Okay, for me, TV reboots. Sherlock.
Yeah, enjoyed Sherlock.
Cobra Kai.
Oh, yeah,
I love Cobra Kai. I can't believe I didn't watch Cobra Kai for so long.
I think we were 4 seasons in before I was saying you need to be watching this.
And then I think me and Jackie ended up binging it in like days, like literally. Fargo.
Yeah, the series is excellent, isn't it?
So good.
It's back soon.
Yeah, I think we need to go back and watch season 3, I think. Star Trek The Next Generation. Not because I'm a big Trekkie, but I felt like it was the beginning of the movement where it was okay to be a nerd and a geek, because, you know, Star Trek Next Generation opened the door for so much sci-fi and geeks films and TV. I think that was the turning point for a lot of people. And one to come, X-Men 97.
Yeah, I think Disney. It's been pushed back to next year, hasn't it?
No, yeah. But that's mine to come. So then, Dave, what's yours? If you like The Predator, you will like this.
So I've gone with 2 themes, and the first one has to be around Stan Winston. So he did sadly pass away in 2008, age only 62. He's won 4 Oscars, a million other awards. We won't list them all, but the films they worked on, The Wiz from 1978 with Michael Jackson, which is absolutely terrifying. It's just terrifying. but his work on that in terms of the effects. He did The Thing in 1982 with Kurt Russell. He did The Terminator and Terminator 2, and he won 2 Oscars for that, for Terminator 2. He did Aliens and won the Oscar in 1986. He did Edward Scissorhands in 1990. Did Batman Returns in 1992. He won the Oscar for Jurassic Park as well. And he did Galaxy Quest and Iron Man.
Oh, I love Galaxy Quest.
So he's just an absolute legend. So if you've never heard of Stan Winston, go Google him, find out more about him. You probably didn't realise he was involved in a lot of those films, if you're not as sort of geeky as us. And then I've just gone with movies that have got aliens in them.
Fair enough.
The Iron Giant.
Excellent choice.
Which we've done a podcast episode about. We love that film from 1999. You can't say aliens without mentioning Alien and Aliens.
Yes.
From Ridley Scott and James Cameron. E.T., who I mentioned before in the quick fire.
Oh, he's a badass as well, isn't he?
Badass from 1982.
I reckon he's got skills, though, if he really needed to.
Oh,
I reckon, yeah.
He came to destroy the Earth, I think, but just fell for Elliot. That's my view.
Oh.
A Quiet Place from 2018 with Emily Blunt. You probably want to watch that because it's a horror film.
Oh, was this with John Krasinski?
Yeah, John Krasinski. I think he wrote and directed it, didn't he?
Yeah.
The Arrival.
Oh, yes. We've mentioned this before. We went to see this.
Dennis Villeneuve, yeah.
Oh, what a film. And it doesn't get spoken about hardly anymore.
No, it's we both left a very silent cinema, didn't we? And it took a while to sink in. It
stayed with me, that film. I don't know what it was, because is it the best film I've ever seen? No. But for some reason, it did stay with me.
I think seeing it in the cinema always helps with anything, doesn't it? And then the last one is The World's End from Edgar Wright with Simon Pegg, Nick Frost from 2013.
Anything about The Matrix this week?
Oh, right. So, yes, I was meant to mention it earlier. When we were talking about the 80s action stuff, what I was going to say is it wasn't really till The Matrix come along.
Never seen it.
Jesus Christ. Where sort of martial arts was in like the mainstream sort of films. Obviously, all those Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan films existed, but in terms of like blockbuster big movies, The Matrix, the first big one. Because really, if you think about it, go back and watch some of those 80s things. No one kicks anyone. It's all punches. It's all Arnie's arms, isn't it? You know, I know he kicks a few doors now, but he's not doing roundhouse kicks and any sort of karate because he's so big.
Except if you watch Van Damme's Kickboxer.
Yes, if you watch something like that.
There's a bit of kicking in there.
But in terms of like martial arts, like kickboxer obviously is based on kickboxing, but what I mean is like the likes of some of the big blockbuster movies and like the Sly and the Arnie films, it's all about brute force, isn't it?
Do you know what? That's what makes the fight at the end of Lethal Weapon so like brutal, striking, because it was like just like loads of different types of fighting. That's what I mean. When I watched Lethal Weapon again, I was like, it was right. It's like, this is bonkers, because it was all about brute strength, like one punch, one big gun, blah blah blah. I think how it went on to become like in Civil War, the MCU film. The fighting in that is just so intricate, and the way the camera moves with you. And all
it's all very choreographed, isn't it? Whereas a lot of the Arnie and Sly is one punch. You're gone, aren't you?
All right then, Dave. That was your choice of The Predator this week. Watch it if you can.
This was a Watch It If You Can production, executive produced by Kenny, our Val's lad from Work Experience.
Don't forget to follow, rate and share from wherever you get your podcast from. Dave! Come on, it's not funny now. Where are you?